Now we're on. We're on. We're on. One more time. One more time. One more time. One more time.
Let's
One
go,
more time.
family.
No way.
Let's
What the?
go, world.
Okay.
Shout out to y'all. Welcome, welcome. You tuning in
Welcome.
to another episode of the Manuscript. Rob Hegan.
ALBYBEATZ
Yes, sir.
or Al. You know what
Let
I'm
me just
saying?
cut up that whole front, bro. What's up,
Yeah.
man? We
Oh
know the
shit. Let me
camera's
see.
right here. Right here. Good. I'm acting
Got
like I
the
know
extra
where I'm at.
lean. I got the extra lean.
What's up, brother? How you
Yeah,
feeling?
man. I'm feeling a bit exhausted. I'm feeling much more relaxed now. I think and relieved as the day went by. I did get some rest. But I did wake up heavy, man. I think we talk a lot about, we've been talking in this at the show so far, getting together to just talk about ourselves as men and manhood and patriarchy, and then just and not just that, but like also we talk about feelings and emotions and how in terms of men's mental health and moving it forward and really aiding, like we still are battling the fact that we don't really express ourselves and our vulnerability, or and don't allow ourselves to sit in what we're feeling, um and so today I had that moment, man. I just woke up and I mean, sure, I could say I fell asleep later than I should have in order to be well rested. At the same time, I think I just woke up heavy, man, with like a I don't even feel like clocking in today kind of energy. And I ended up not, bro. I spoke to my supervisor, and then like really, I was coming from PA. I think I shared with you. I'm visiting a family, a family friend who passed away. Rest in peace to them. And they were just 50 years old, man. Really young, man. Still, to me, in adult years as a man.
Nah, 50's young, man. 50's young. God bless him.
And unfortunately, it was health related.
Mm.
But it was sudden. Via stroke. And so, one thing that I'll take away so far is in terms of, there was a couple things, man, so much layers, so many things I'm still sitting with. I think it's still all hard to process, but basically just bringing it full circle, right? Trying to be better this year around like, if I don't have the capacity to do something, I'm gonna take my rest, and try not to feel guilty because I do a lot already that I'm trying, and I'm trying to do more. Not just for myself, but for the world, for communities, for my local community, um, and I want to see through these things and these ideas that I have. But again, if I'm not myself 100%, if at the end of the day I'm exhausted, then I'm not going to be able to get to these things and be successful.
How much can you really give, right?
Exactly. So today, man, just gave in, had that moment, because again, dealing with grief, the themes of grief, death, uh, loss, family. It's just been real close. So, obviously, again, it's a blessing that you and I have been able to already start doing this. This is our ninth time now. So
Yes,
pretty
sir.
much nine,
Episode
10 weeks.
9.
And there was a couple of them, man, where we got into so many conversations, but in the background, these are themes that were already kind of like hitting me because of just the way things have been going,
See how God work?
Yeah. So, yeah, man. Whew. I know that was a long intro and way to express like how I'm feeling,
love.
and where I'm at. But yeah, man, I'm kind of relieved now, so to say, because I did, going back, just taking the day, and taking an extra day to slow down and try to process things. And I really did, like I said, I did yoga. I ate, make sure I was well fed, hydrated. Usually I stay home and sometimes get lazy and forget to do things, forget to drink water. I'm just going to be in bed all day, No, but I got up. I ate 5 times today, thankfully. Drank a bunch of water. I still want more water.
Yeah, I'm thirsty too.
Yeah, I'm saying I should have got you water. Yeah, my fault. That's on me. We'll take a quick break eventually, and then whenever you really can't.
We gonna put make me swim.
And yeah, so I did those things because even though I was still like from the morning, as the morning progressed, feeling heavy, but telling myself, what I kind of preach is like, we have to do these things for our mental health eventually, whether we want to or not. So I don't feel like doing yoga, but I'm gonna do yoga because I know if I just get into it, start breathing, start focusing on my breath at least, and moving my body in a slow way, I get to slow down because that's what I want, right? I even video journaled. I do want a journal handwritten.
Video journal.
So basically, now that you know how I could record on OBS or whatever, so I just record myself talking,
That's what's up.
and it's like, there's my video vlog, like a vlog, I guess, if you will,
Yeah.
and I talk to the vlog
I've
and
been
record
doing that
it,
with freestyling instead of trying to write.
Right.
Been trying to just audio it. But
yeah. So instead of writing, because it gets tiring, and there's I delete videos. I basically then start hiding them in my computer because I try to get personal, but then I'm like, if someone finds it. So the next step, which I haven't done yet, is and I don't have too many videos because I mostly delete them because out of fear that somebody will find it.
Right.
But I would like to keep them on record because the same way that you keep a journal, a handwritten one. So this digital version of a journal. So there's USBs are cheap. I just bought one not that long ago, a bunch of gigs for cheap. So I figured I keep them in.
You mean like flash drives?
Yeah, like flash drives.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah. Flash drives, and put them in a flash drive with a bunch of gigs that I could buy for cheap, and then just like encrypt them, put a password to them. So if I do lose it, whoever opens it, there'll be a password to it. Yeah. And then they wouldn't go through that trouble. Whoever finds it will have to go through trouble just to hack my stuff and figure out what's in there, That's and even then, it'll just be a video journal, So, yeah, I did those things in addition to, again, eating, having enough water, making sure I'm eating, like I clocked myself, like I had a meal, this time, yeah, just to like do those things and like, okay, make use of my day and really like try to reset, be intentional about how I'm resetting the day, like, because there's things to do, you know what I mean? I have responsibilities to get to, so I sat down, was creating more stuff. So basically, I try to do those things, and again, that's my way of like
your time with like more
and just getting to my mental health for real, like the same way I'm like, I want to get stronger, so I go to the gym and do pull-ups. Okay, because even the day I don't want to do pull-ups, but I want my muscles to grow, so just do them pull-ups or push-ups, whatever the case may be. So my mental health, like, I want my mental health to get better, so I know that stuff like journaling, yoga, meditation, drawing, the arts, engaging in the arts are things that are good for your mental health, exercises. So even though I don't feel like doing those things, I just wanted to, like, what I'm saying, smoke, and like, I do want to chill, watch. I've been wanting to watch Fallout, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to chill, do that. I'm like, nah, man. Like,
Fallout is a show?
Yeah, it's a show. It was a game. Yeah, on Amazon Prime.
It's a game. It's a show now?
It is a game, yes. And now they made a show that kind of like how they did Last of Us. So honestly, Fallout, I like it. Some weird storylines in some of the episodes so far, but it's only 8.
Wait, have they already done the Halo? That they were gonna do
I believe
Halo,
they did the Halo, and I don't know that it got good
right?
reviews. No, I don't think so. But I definitely checked out Fallout because I was kind of interested in the story or whatever. And so, But yeah, man, I didn't do those things, man. Didn't falter. And try to, and again tomorrow's another day, so I want to continue doing those things and like adding it to my day and slowing down. So
that's what gets like anxiety ridden, right? Where it's like, there's more days, so it's like, what
you want to do it all.
Like, how aware of the days do you want to be before it becomes you know what I mean? Like, I've been having that issue too, where man, would love to you for finding something that works today, and even taking a second to know that you in charge of the day, bro. Look, you took took charge. It was there, boom, right there for you. Some people don't feel like they even have the capability to even try. Even if the day didn't work out and your boss didn't work out for you, it wasn't a no you got. At least you tried.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah, man. Because worst case I was thinking is that I could have been told no, I have to go in.
Yeah.
I would have probably gone. Honestly, I probably would have still said no, I'm not going in. Dock me or whatever you have to do, but I'm not going in. Right. Like, because again, trying to get back to like. If I'm gonna give my I need to be better, and I am sitting with heavy stuff, and of course, we have a heavy topic even today, right? Because there's so much going on, man, to discuss it, and in terms of like continuing to evolve as men, and I keep looking at myself and reflecting, like, what's my role and my role in the society, like with this stuff going on. There's a way that all this stuff is connected. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But yeah, what sat with me is some of the stuff like. Dealing with the losses is definitely around like us as men and just a story, but I'll get back to that because I was gonna jump in and ask you how you were coming in today, man, this Monday, how you were feeling.
I've been dealing with like something similar, but it's at some point it's like it's not as it's not as obvious, like, let's say work, right? Like, that for some people it would be obvious, like work. I'm going to take a break from work. That's why I was saying it's interesting, like, at some point it gets to be also, too, like, let's say you didn't have work and you had this same day, but it's not going to be always the same day. But you needed this day, you need a couple of these days, and how does your mind then get wrapped around that, where it's like you give yourself these days, but the days are not always the same. Even working out, you're not going to want to do the same, blah, blah, blah. How do you work with yourself? Yeah. There's always reminding yourself to stay open. I've been like, we were speaking on the last episode, faithfulness was a thing that I've been maintaining in my mind, the fruit of faithfulness, trying to remind myself, like, no one can believe in what you're doing more than you. You know what I mean? So your lack of faith in what you're doing could really be the determining factor as to, like, where the success of this whole thing goes. Yeah, there's other things, but you just got to know what you want to get done. And I remember you telling me that before, you would be working on self-control, but also the duality of it, like letting go. So I'm proud of you to say that you did that again today. Type last week it was ask for help. Yeah,
remember that's what I'll look back at the notes. I'm like, just make sure, and I just happened to catch that. Yeah, one new thing I wanted to script is asking for help. Yeah.
Bro, and then you took the Monday to be like, last time they asked me if I needed help, I accepted. Now I'm telling you I need help with this. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful balance, bro. There.
Work in progress, man. Work in progress.
Today is interesting because it's like I know that I love these things and I want to do these things. It's just the energy that is like it's almost like it relates to the idea that this energy that is unproductive. It's not personal. You know what I mean? Like when anybody's in a bad state, it just kind of reminds me when I'm really able to not be aware of where I'm at when I'm in the bad state. Right. It's not personal. It's just not personal, you know what I mean? So the best way that you could like make sure that it's not personally attacking you is the best, that would be the best outcome. Yeah. To just know that this is just what it is. I'm struggling. This shit ain't easy. But, you could see the light at the end of the tunnel for little things, In a few days, you're going to be able to celebrate the coming of my sister's new baby girl.
That's coming up next week.
That's technically this week. Whoa. That's this Sunday, man.
Bugging out. Pressing the wrong buttons. Boo for me for doing that. I get booed. I get the booed, man. Fucking up.
But that's this Sunday, man.
That's Sunday, man. Yeah,
it's coming up fast, yo.
Ooh. And Memorial Day weekend. I mean, so it's gonna be barbecues and the whole nine and that's amazing, man. Yeah.
Sneak the celebration on the day.
Sheesh. Yeah, man. So like, right? As I say, new things and new beginnings, new endings, right? New beginnings.
So.
Yeah, man.
So now, with that said, I would love to segue into this old stain on America and what it is like domestic violence, and how can we get a new on this soil, like as men, like can we really have relationships with women where putting our hands on them isn't the norm? Right, I don't want to say no Diddy, no nothing, no anybody. It doesn't matter. Like,
well,
like no punches, bro.
Interesting, man.
No violence. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, we feel. Let's be real with ourselves as men. Like, we're both heterosexual. Like, we identify with. We're almost like not the last ones, but I feel like when I think about it, like, we grew up 89 babies. And it was like man and woman, like he and she.
Yeah, very. As they said,
it was binary. That, but it was almost. It feels like almost the last of the times that was actually like not fought. You know what I mean? Like that was just what it was.
Right.
And I don't have any negative conversations to say like, yo, that kept me from this or this and that. Right? It's like, yes, it didn't open the doors for anything. Right? Masculinity, me being more of a man, but it didn't really open the doors for anything. But it also didn't hinder me. But I'm not talking about me. That's all about everyone else being hindered. That's why I understand. Knock those walls down, right? But I think it's just quite interesting, bro. I think it's quite interesting that, you know, I feel weird too. I look at us and I say, I feel masculine. I feel like a he. I feel like I'm in that box, but I'm not. I don't feel boxed in. But that's because of all the things that naturally box you in. Like, of course, aggression is not. You could be a woman and be very feminine. The moment you're aggressive, you're gonna feel boxed in. You're gonna feel like the odd one out because no human feels comfortable in that energy.
Yeah.
All right, you're gonna be a pervert, woman or man. No one feels comfortable with that overly sexualized, like we spoke about in episodes before. Hypersexuality.
Oh, yeah, right.
So, you know.
Yeah, I think that you're definitely, you hit on a point there about like us maybe, you know, millennials, as I guess we would be. You know, we're kind of like in terms of what how we're our generation is described based on the years we were born.
Right.
So I guess afterwards, I mean, I guess my brother technically also falls under millennial as well. He's a late millennial. So he also, you're right. I do think we, you know, we didn't have this openness, I think, to ideas, and it was like, you know, this is what it is, man, woman, that's it.
Right.
And I think definitely, of course, the newer generations have more openness, but you know, it's interesting because we were just more suppressed. You know what I mean? Because this stuff always existed. It's not like gender non-conforming people just came out of nowhere since these new Gen Z or whatever has been born. I met a trans person when I was 14. You know, so actually like 2 trans people. That's the first time. Yeah. So thankfully, again, to programs I've been to, you know, doing community work, I got to meet transgender people. I remember going to the having to do some work with a after school program with Latino Youth in Action. It was Latino Youth in Action. Yeah. And participating in the gay parade. I was probably like 15, 16 or going to it. So, you know, and I remember, you know, obviously social media wasn't like that, but there were a lot of people there. I mean, a lot of people that I will always remember, like the amount of stuff I saw. Again, I saw more transgender folks. So basically, it's always existed. I mean, even, you know, indigenous people recognize like 2-spirited genders, and they didn't think of gender as the way we do. So, you know, who knows how we would have grew up if in the 90s if there was more openness around gender and just knowing what it means. I think it's okay that we feel the way we feel. You know, that's the whole point, right? I feel this way. I feel masculine. I fit in. That just feels right. It's just comfortable to me. Comfortable. Like I don't think it twice. It comes, as we say, comes second nature. You know what I mean? Right. I've been open to things, right? So wearing even like different colors. So like I've been open to wearing a pink shirt. Obviously, I grew my hair, whereas like it wasn't manly to have long hair when I was growing up. Right. Still, you know.
Yeah, for us it's like almost a simple thing. It's like do your nails. Like now when you want to paint it different colors, I'm just like, nah, just maybe like, you know, get your nails done.
Right, and like, even that manicures and pedicures. You know, it's good to see that men who from our generation and before be finally open to the idea, because you know there were always men who were very masculine and who still take care of their stuff and their nails and whatever the case may be. You know, it's just interesting, man, seeing how again we were suppressed and continuing to reflect on how much we were suppressed by. And then being challenged by how much we're still being suppressed in these ideas. Because look at us right now, man. We got this platform challenging the ways that manhood is showing up in pretty negative ways still, you know, in ways that you and I want to speak against, and then hopefully carve out a more positive ideal of and role model of masculinity to say, like, we could look like us, be like us, be, you know, yes, we can say we identify as such as men, heterosexual men, etc., and it's okay. And then if you don't, it's also okay too, because that's the thing. It's been made not okay, and then oftentimes we've been made the face of the foot soldiers who oppress these other identities, right?
And like that's what I'm saying. Like even in our last discussion, I was telling you I was struggling, and you had to ask me, just for clarity. It wasn't. I could feel it wasn't personal, but you had to ask, do I sit with anger? But I even think in that question, the idea was asked because typically a man, speaking as I am, would sit with anger. But it's not to say even if I was or if I wasn't. It's just, to me, the biggest thing is, do you act on your anger? So Diddy, let's get into it, right?
Yeah.
Diddy, a video has been circulating, which is funny to me when we say circulating. I think it's always been out there. Oh, you know what I mean? It's just that. Yeah, it's always been out there. We've seen different videos.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, old news is brought new. Let's say it that way.
I mean, the video was from 2016?
Yeah, bro.
2017, so 8 years ago? 7 years ago.
I have feelings like that. You know what I mean? Like, where I'm like, man, like, I've seen the thread. I was speaking to you off air of a thread going around that I commended for even, like, begging the question of, like, the fact that this video circulates of Diddy and immediately he comes out and he's apologizing. They confronted that with the fact that that is just to show a fear of exposure, that's not really a genuine apology. It's just to save face. And once they called it out and said it, that made me just look at it like 2-3 times to watch the video again and really ask myself and think about everything that I've seen. Like, it's right in front of you, right? You don't gotta guess. Like, the enemy will confuse you, but it's real clear. He didn't actually say anything before this. It's true. Like, I mean, like,
well, he denied.
Yeah, right. But that's what I'm trying to say. He didn't expose himself. There's a big thing that I'm learning with men. Like, where I think that's what I keep saying. Like,
he exposed that he lied. I think
different from exposure is different from transparency. Right. You see, like, I like to say, lead a transparent life. Transparency will keep you safe. It feels the same as exposure, but exposure has just even that big X factor. Is in the sound, right? In the frequencies, like. It doesn't sound even appealing. It sounds like I gotta X this. I gotta take this off for you, and expose you. And I'm there may be some power there, where, like, maybe that's how we speak to ourselves. Maybe that's how we think it needs. That's how it needs to happen. If that's what you're caught up in, right? You can lead a transparent life and not have anything to hide. But if you're hiding already, then I'm gonna have to expose you into this transparent life. One or the other. It did feel like a man who wasn't being transparent, who was exposing himself to no longer be transparent and be doing shit on the low again. You know what I mean? There's a difference, man. Like, did you see it?
No, I didn't watch his apology, man, because I've been out on Diddy, man, honestly, to be quite honest. I didn't buy the whole him calling himself Brother Love or whatever. I didn't buy that shit.
Oh, my God.
Even back then. I didn't buy none of that.
It's sickening, though.
But
isn't it not?
So I caught the first few seconds where he said, like, something about it was some dark times, and
that's true, yeah.
And then I was like, oh, why did I even click on this bullshit? Look, man, it must have been. I'm curious to folks who, because we talked about it on the show. I think I definitely shared, like, some of the disappointment I've had with celebrities and role models, I grew up with, and then found out they did, pretty horrendous things that I couldn't imagine doing myself. So it's like, I'm not surprised by Diddy. I also was out on Diddy. I was out on a lot of the men in our generation, unfortunately, because too many of them, it's like, dogs, when we were being oppressed by the ideas, you were the leaders of that, and you were even, far gone in these ideas. And so to me, the only trigger, I barely even wanted to watch the video with Cassie, because I'm just like, man, I didn't want to see Cassie get beat up. But I caught a glimpse of it, man, and then I'm like, why did I watch this? Because, well, again, I already was out on Diddy, so I don't know why I needed any more proof to see that he was who I thought he was. And again, there was even the court case. So even if you read the document when this all came out months ago, you would, like, this exact incident that we saw video proof for. She talked about it.
Right.
So it's already been documented in court. And so what I find interesting, because again, there's a side of me that's like also conspiracy theorist almost, like, someone wanted this out. Yeah. More powerful than him.
I think you were just on the note. You were on it about the fact that this was the evidence for that case. That's why we hadn't seen it since. But there must have been a clear... Or
somebody wanted it out now because he settled.
But exactly.
He settled.
It's so settled, it's done. So it's not illegal to release it. Right. But this was the evidence used. So then when he's Brother Love and he's having fun and he's laughing about it, is because he knows way back then that this don't mean shit. It might come out, it might come out, but it might not mean shit. So all of this is just collateral damage of, like, a fake apology, because apologize now because it won't be there later. The same way it wasn't there later, but it was. It was happening at that time later, and we didn't know about it. But you see how he playing catch up with us, as if we're not gonna ever catch up,
Yeah, man. And I think it was saving face. I think he spoke to. Sure. I think he made that video for those who will listen. I think he made that video for those who still want to hold on to that image of Diddy, who they have in their arms and hearts. You know,
You don't even look the same.
from even I've seen it all too many times before. You know, because again, I think one of the things that I did see on circulating on social media, out of all the like different posts and stuff on Diddy and everyone giving their opinions, I did see two things that I thought was interesting. One, the news even decided to share and bring up domestic violence again, and like the numbers here specifically in New York City, which they haven't been better since the pandemic. Just long story short. But then someone pointed out how like Diddy is following what's kind of like the profile for an abusive man, you know, or an abusive partner. I don't want to just say man, but an abusive partner, because abuse, any gender could be abusive, you know, and we've seen cases of it. Lesbian couples, there's abuse. Transgender couples, there's abuse. Like domestic violence, no bounds. It doesn't know any gender. So again, I'm gonna be mindful, not like making a scene, even though numbers do say on end that men are violent on a larger scale and higher rate. But that's, you know,
All right, man,
there's
listen,
different reasons for that.
That's the
But-
scary thing for me.
But
That's a scary thing for me.
but numbers,
And
this numbers are skewed.
But I pray those numbers never. Imagine that, bro. You're in a world where, that's what I say. Like I see the balance, and like if we don't get a hold of it in a holy way, in a very peaceful way, it can fuck with us in a bad way.
Yeah.
Well, imagine if those numbers are skewed, but they're skewed now on an underground level because we, the perpetrators, the men, not me, but I'm saying the men before me were perpetrating. Y'all were doing the dirt underground. Now people what they're wisening up, but they're not wisening up in a healthy way. Now they're the perpetrators abusing, but more to not get caught. Nobody wants to get caught being the abuser.
Yeah.
And then there's just gonna be an underground abuse for years where it doesn't matter. That's just my fear of like men and women, children, just getting abused, and it's quiet because it's financial, psychological. It's not just physical.
Right.
Now we on the surface of physical things, but you know, let's be honest. It becomes. I'm learning so much more of like before it's financial, it's even psychological.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So
there's levels to where abuse happens,
bro.
for sure. It's not, and so to that point, you know, if imagine that what we saw in Diddy's case is the physical. So imagine all the other abuse has been taking place, or what kind of abuse have had to have taken place for it to even get to that level of physical abuse.
So we're clear
behaviors.
That's the biggest L. The Knicks, that's a W. On the Knicks chart, the Knicks win. The Knicks win. Diddy lost. Diddy loses.
But you know,
we
lost too.
The next one. The next one was a good series.
We wish we had a really. New York was having a bad weekend, man.
No, we lost.
New York was having a bad weekend, man. That video release. Listen, I always think about, because again.
Oh, you don't want the video release with the Philly thing?
No. I'm talking about the Diddy video releasing at the same weekend that pretty much like the Knicks lost, man.
See, they want that to be.
I don't know. Look, whatever issues that are happening with the rich, I think we should also take lessons, because, like you said, these could also be used as opportunities to then also. Again, so let's talk about. Okay, so we know that still is not very comfortable to talk about relationships, especially toxic, abusive ones. So this does, I will say, the one highlight and positive is that at least since people know Diddy, you know, there's a conversation about it again. Now it gives us an opening and a door, to talk about it. It's like, great, look, we're here. I hate that we got here through this means. But like, let's talk about how it looks nasty. Yes, let's talk about how does someone get to that point? Because there's a lot of conversations around like, well, why did she do this? Why did she run? Why did she not hit him back? Why did he hit her? Why did he kick, right? And so let's talk about it, right? So listen, there's many, if there's a clear sign, you know, abusive relationships happen in patterns. So Diddy likely had a pattern of this behavior for years, you know? So clearly, even up until that point, that wasn't the first time he's done that to any woman or any partner of his. I mean, you know, just think about the level of like openness it must take to be comfortable enough to run out in your towel in a hotel where clearly there's other people, and you still act out the way you do, you know. And what's been found in terms of research and just studies of domestic violence is that it's not about like a pleasure thing or just the person is fucked up. Like, violence in and of itself as an action is about control in any form, right? If a parent even wants to smack their kids up, what is it about? It's about control. Like, right, I'm gonna tell you to be quiet and sit down. If my words don't work, I'm gonna smack you, and that's how I control your behavior. Right. And so, similarly, that same pipeline in an intimate relationship, the use for violence is about control. So, you didn't hear me when I yelled at you. Oh, so now you don't take my verbal threats serious anymore because now you learned, right? And so now I'm gonna hit you, and like that's how I'm gonna keep you under control. That's how I'm gonna keep. That's when I yell at you and tell you something, you're gonna listen because there's always a threat of me hitting you. And obviously, I'm like going down the very quick list of like how abuse unfolds.
It's all connected though. But I hear what you're saying. How it's
violence,
all connected. Like
it's usually a form of control. Anytime we're always violent.
To get to violent. Really, why I asked myself, I was listening to you, and I still said, even if it didn't get violent, it got toxic because at some point, if the person doesn't put hands on you when you're not listening for them to control,
they're gonna try something.
They're not hearing you. Yeah, they're not hearing you. Not hear them, but all they want to do is be heard. Yeah. And so now, like you said, they're just gonna be trying to get you to hear that one thing. And now it's just like, but it's both of y'all just banging your heads on each other's walls. Yeah. Pause. No, I don't got pause.
No, I need to pause. I need to pause. It's cool.
I know. Yeah.
But yeah, so this is why this Diddy stuff is interesting for me, because to see it, and again, interesting because it allows me to then bring up conversations about domestic violence again with normally people who don't want to just talk about it out of nowhere.
Right.
Yeah, but it is a sad one though, again, to kind of like the sad reality of like, damn, you would, for me at least, it was like, I read these things about you. Enough people have said that this person acts out in a very toxic, abusive, controlling way as a boss, as a manager, right. So there's no way you're abusive to your clients and you're abusive to people you work with, and you're not going to be abusive to the people you love, you know? Yeah. You're likely abusive to people you love first, and then you take it out on other people in that way. So, man, it's just going to be interesting.
Understand, too. I've been learning a lot, like, levels of abuse. Like, these people, like, even if they're not, like, let's not say they're monsters, because then they're never going to heal from that. It's really, like, they're known to punish you. You know what I mean? They're known to, like, punish you. Like, in their minds, punishment is a thing. And I just been realizing that most recently, because it's not a thing for me. I don't personally think about doing that to anyone. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? But I've noticed that one big difference is, like, when it's done to me, and people put it in funny, different ways. Like even your shorty, like, or your partner, your man's like, it's like, oh, you being a bad girl. Somebody need a punishment. You know what I mean? Like, it'll start funny like that. But man, it's that tricky for me even too. Like hearing people talk like that, I have to call it out real quick. It's like, oh, you trying to be cute? Oh, well, let's just make sure it stays cute, because it don't sound cute. Like I can hear all the day. I'm sorry, yeah. Like call it what you want. It's trauma, yeah. But we're gonna have to be real clear about it. Are you being cute about it? Okay, so it's cute. Yeah, I'm that kind of guy now because it gets slippery, man. I got trust issues with that word.
Well, were you affected in the way of like, like as Diddy, again, being into hip hop, a long listener of hip hop, following hip hop, did it strike you in any way? Is that like, in what way did it impact you to kind of see the video? Because did you see the video?
I saw the video, okay. Man. It clarified a lot for me. It's not even about hip hop, man. It's just humanity. Like, we all have eyes on this person, and they don't say a thing. Everybody has eyes on this person, and they don't say a thing. And it just, again, pains me because, this is a privilege even right here. Like, I'm aware of this privilege. This is a privilege that I'm a man and you're a man, and we could talk about this. But if I'm Cassie Ventura and you're her best friend, we're not that comfortable. We're not that comfortable, because afterwards I got to step out of these streets. These are the Bronx streets, but these streets are just not as more dangerous, no more or less dangerous than any other streets. If anybody's looking for you, right? It's not that, what I'm saying. And now I'm Cassie. I'm a woman. I got to go out there after I just did this, and there's eyes on this. Oh, maybe what? I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? 9,000, 90,000. It still is a. It's so funny what we do with awareness. Now there's eyes on us, and it's for that. But there weren't eyes when she was like getting dragged. There was probably ears. There were feelings. Let's talk about all our senses that we're ignoring, and that's gonna be the detriment to our society as human race. Like, you know, it's kind of funny, like,
Wow.
even calling people handicapped when they have less senses than us. But look at what we do with our senses when we're so capable.
don't use them. Don't really use them.
You know what I mean? It's like, let's look at the hypocrisy in us. That should affected me only in the sense of, like, again, I just...
People saw, yeah.
Yo, bro, come on. I'm not asking you to be a hero. I'm just asking you to not ignore what God is putting in front of you. Don't call it God, but
Right.
it's right in front of you.
Well,
You know
that's
what I
a
mean?
tricky part then,
did
Rob.
they hear that? Or the next day?
Yeah.
Before we got this video, we got the video of her in the blanket.
Oh, yeah,
And I
I seen
didn't
that one too.
realize that those are probably similar days, bro. Where she just got dragged in. And she don't want to be seen by him. Similar days. But y'all gave it to me in that context. See, that's what's funny with me. Like, well, that's why I'm like, damn, man, really, bro, you asking me of a tough thing, God, because if I'm over here trying to chill with my brothers and sisters out here, I'm going to have to be straight up transparent.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, Rob. I guess the challenge is, you know, the layer with this is that Diddy's a dude with resources, you know. So we're talking about someone again who
changed his name 3-4 times. I'm like, that's thousands of dollars.
You know, if we're being real, you know, it's just like, okay, this is the platform, right? You know, if we had a podcast in the 90s and stuff like that when he's first coming up and he wants to come on as our guest and we pick up on this behavior, you know, like, and then his boys pick up on this behavior, like how, you know, the trouble with calling someone like that out is we know the ramifications. And so I know I'm not, and again, this is me spitballing as well. I haven't gotten to a point yet. So I don't want, you know, in case I'm already sounding like I'm about to defend why people might not have said anything. But clearly people didn't say anything because this is a well-resourced, dangerous man. So like who's allegedly been out there hurting people. So, you know, already, you know, got to get your money up before you go to war, man. I heard that quote, like, and it's true, man. I like me and my broke ass right now. I know if I see Diddy in the street, I'll be crazy to punch him in the face. Like, this guy could probably still, with his money and resources, make me disappear. So I can't punch him.
Crazy viral. You be crazy viral.
For sure. Nah. And then crazy gone, probably.
Yeah.
You virus, know, with
his plague,
this dude is still, you know what I'm saying? Like, this guy is, like, still got millions of dollars, probably so many connections that I'll be gone. So it wouldn't even be tactically smart for me to, like, to make a difference and attack him in that way if I'm not even equipped to handle that.
Violence begins violence, but man,
for sure. But at some point,
put it in your face right now. Like,
but what can we do?
You just had it right here where you plug this in, you give it to Fox or not a Fox
but
or whatever.
That's like, what I'm trying to say, Rob.
It was just right there, like you did. Like I think we was on the air.
I mean, but how uncomfortable is it?
About the USBs, the flash drives, and the encrypted ones. Imagine you found it. You found the one. And you just was like, yo, what? This just says Diddy 07? Oh shit, Diddy Party 07. And you just spent the rest of your years just Googling, like, not Googling, just putting fake ass passwords. You got in, you found it. Like, what, you know what I'm saying? What do you want to do with that?
Well, that's a different one, because now I could.
Now the year's 2035.
I could release stuff anonymously. That's what I'm saying. So even I'm thinking about, you know, because the system, right, that allows Diddy to get to where he's at. He doesn't become a toxic, abusive type of personality if people don't allow him to get there either, you know. So I think people made excuses. And again, you said it, we were born 89, so during our generation, the same way we stuck to the binary, we also stuck to traditional rules of how that binary is supposed to interact. So it was very much you listen to your husband. And I mean, come on now, we call tank tops wife beaters, you know what I'm saying? And like,
can you believe that I'm still like
still fighting it?
No, I'm still looking at people like, what you talking about, tank top, right?
I still do it, but
yeah, like,
I try not to. You know, sometimes I might be forceful with it, wife beater, really. But most of the time, I'm like, you mean the tank top, right? Oh, okay, tank top, yeah, okay. Like, and that's it. And I think people catch the hint because, like, man, we gotta again.
Undershirt.
Listen, dude. Like,
what are you really saying?
Wife beater? No, I don't think. I don't wear no wife beaters.
Hear that.
Like, I'm not gonna put a wife beater on me.
That was the beginning of us being dumbed down because we don't even.
And also to accept it.
Wife beater. I'm sure if we spelled it, We would call it like W.
Bro, I thought it used to be white beater.
I'm saying
I thought it was
yeah,
white.
right,
I thought
and
it was
we
white
would go
beater.
beater. Like we wouldn't even really be saying it right.
And then I found out it was wife beater. I'm like, what? Oh my god! And I'm talking fifth,
thought-
sixth
I
grade.
thought-
Like,
I
you know
felt
what I
like,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh shit, it's
for
called the
real.
wife beater. Why is it called the wife beater?
Twilight Zone, like.
And then I heard it. I heard the reasoning why. I'm like, I can't believe this bullshit.
Oh shit.
It's kind of crazy, man. But you know, again, these are things that are just fed to us, and if you don't question it, so as I'm saying, even kind of going back to these generations, yeah, of course, it may seem like they're fighting manhood, and you know, I think pushing against ideas of gender, but because at least we have some access to a semblance of a voice to make things go viral and speak against like old traditional ways of thinking. So again, going back to like the ways we've challenged that, a lot of times men feel offended by some of the things they see online, but it's just people raising their voice on stuff that I think people for years wanted to change.
The thing is too, like,
but,
I think
yeah.
they're scared, bro. I think they really scared. Like, I want.
But that's what I'm saying. But I was gonna go back there. It is fearful because how do we do it now?
Right now that's challenging me. That if someone was to abuse a woman, like I want to abuse them back. But that's what I'm saying. That's not good.
Well,
that's
we have to.
That's the challenge here.
Well, okay.
I'm not supposed to whip.
But then what's the answer? But then what's the answer?
We were talking about it with the subway thing.
Right.
It's
but
so
then
funny. A man actually did something, but he didn't do what
violently and aggressively.
Right. Yeah. You know, shit. He aggressive. Nigga, get aggressive with him. Get him to stop.
Yeah.
It's like, nah. But the woman was. I know you're not talking to her though. I know you're not talking to her. And it's like, oh, that's what we're talking about. Match him up with that. And yo, bro, I feel it now. Even in me, like. I would want, like, it's aggressive. The aggression, now I'm not going to protect her with the aggression. I'm going to come at you. But guess what? I don't get heard like this.
Right.
You know, a lot of the times when I get like this, and it's not even about aggression, it's passionate, I realize I don't get heard. I had to check myself because it was upsetting. I'm just passionate right now. But why am I not being heard? Oh, your passion is coming off aggressive, Rob. So when your aggression, people don't quite feel safe to continue down the journey you're going. They don't know really what's gonna pop up. It makes sense, right? Yeah, but I'm not aggressive by nature. I'm never put my harm. I never harmed anyone. Like, let's really think about it. Like, I'm like, this world up is already too much. You should look at yourself. And it's like, it became a thing where I had to get more. When I thought I was emotional, bro, I thought I was too emotional. I'm too sensitive. I gotta get more emotional for the road ahead. To understand that if it's not personal for me, but it's personal for them, that's a hard place to be at.
Yeah.
Like in your position, being there for the youth. Yeah. And it's very personal between them. It would not suit you well if it became personal for you too. You know what I mean? Because you got to be there for both of them. You know, that little girl, you've been watching her get harassed by this kid for a long time, but there's many things that you probably haven't seen that you don't know why they even still put themselves in that position. Why, you know what I mean? Like both of them was going on here. He has to learn. If I shame him and put him away, will I ever be there to be there? You know what I'm saying? As a man for him, I could do more for him than I think as a man for a woman. This young girl, she's gonna need the women by her side to help her to understand what these men are about. I should be, you know what I mean? It's a tough job.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
To come in between people who may not be ready. Like,
well, going back to it though, isn't it? Because you know you mentioned the scared piece, right? That people are scared. Yeah. But that's what I wanted to go back to because it's still challenging, bro. Because again, like how
do you challenge that?
Well, also what does redemption do look like for someone who's harmed? Who's caused such harm, like, you know, because there's been times I've been confronted with men who have harmed women in front of me, and there was times I was able to intervene, and there was times I didn't, and so, you know, and the times I didn't feel equipped to do anything about it, and I felt helpless.
Those times,
so,
and then you don't do anything, and God forbid they probably went home and they got worse. I hear you.
Well, because you can also do something and it gets worse anyway. So that's what I'm saying. So the whole point is again, the tricky part is trying to figure out like the balance of how to maintain safety, not just for like women in my family, but also even strangers. You know, if it happens in the street. So yeah, like I don't know how often you've been confronted with that, but I think that's the piece that makes it challenging, right? Because I think there is different. Every case is not the same, even though we can say what abuse is and who falls under the abuser category, because there are clear distinction between the way people act right, that will make them fall into that category. Then there's people who do these similar behaviors, but they're not abusive. They're unhealthy. And they have unhealthy ways of being in a relationship, right? They might yell, they might scream, they might curse their partner out, but they're not abusive. They might, again, be an unhealthy person. Definitely not a person that needs a lot of help with their communication, and likely a person who doesn't know how to function inside an intimate relationship. But they're not, yeah, and they're not behaving for control, basically, is what I'm trying to say, right? But there are people who do yell, who do scream, who have cursed at their partners, and then repeatedly in a certain pattern, right? Who do these things in a pattern. And I think when you see someone who has a pattern of these behaviors, then it's like they start moving into another category. For me, someone like Diddy is one of those. I put him in a category of, I don't know, man, someone who's probably not redeemable, because yes, I do understand that he didn't also, he wasn't born that way. He was likely raised in an environment and that made him become that way. He was also likely raised in an environment. Obviously, we already know America encourages it. Again, it's in our slang, it's in our language. We constantly talk about that. So even looking at someone like him, yeah, he likely was influenced by his society, but also it's likely that somewhere in his upbringing, these kind of behaviors were displayed. These kind of behaviors were shown, and I'm pretty sure these kind of behaviors were excused and justified. It it could be true that maybe he, when he reflects, he's like, oh, I really wasn't myself. Sure. The same way soldiers of war develop PTSD and they come back, and sometimes they can't control their behaviors at home with their own families, right? Maybe there's that going on. But here's where it gets complicated, because I as far as like where I'm sitting at, I don't know that everybody's redeemable. So I don't with this guy, I don't know that he's redeemable.
I understand.
I don't know that he's redeemable, but unless, like, I don't know, man. If big picture, what do you think as far as like what can a response for like someone like Diddy look like? You know what I'm saying? And in terms of for us as men, like how could us as men help him? You know what I mean?
First and foremost, though, is like he cannot live the same lifestyle.
Okay.
He cannot live the same lifestyle, and that's one of the biggest struggles that I think that he would have right in front of him. Like, literally change your lifestyle, man. Like, with the amount of people you've abused and you've seen them cry right in front of you and you've been the perpetrator, like, you need to counteract that, in my opinion, and give love. You know what I'm saying? Don't just change your name, change your actions.
Right.
It's more than a name. That's what's so funny about being a man like that would change his name, right? So many times. Like, it's about how you act. It's about what you do. You know what I mean? And it's so funny that I think that, a lot of people have been getting the rights to their music with Bad Boy around this time. You know what I mean? And that's another manipulation. That's another gaslighting tactic. It's very clear, y'all. It's very clear. Again, we got to move slow, though. Because like you said, these people are dangerous.
Yeah.
So you don't just drag them out into the light and just let them know exactly what they are. Even me, I'm saying it. But it's easy for me to say it. This is a privilege. This is a privilege. If he wanted to, he could go get anybody out here to go and clap me because he got the streets on lock for more years than me, and it won't be nothing. It would just be me walking in the streets at the wrong time. It's that serious. Yeah. It's corny, though, to me. That's why I think to myself, I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of anything of that, and of that matter, honestly. Like, death is not to be feared. You know what's scary is whack is living this life knowing these kind of things and not being able to speak. Not like I'm literally knowing y'all watching. I don't give a shit. I'm here talking to my brother here. Like, I know y'all watching. I know I set this up, but I'm talking to you. I'm aware of all of this.
Right.
What am I gonna direct my energy to? Right. So when you have all these things and y'all are living out here, and you heard Cassie crying, Cassie's in this situation for years and years and years, and you don't do anything. That breaks my heart when I think about y'all just listening. Like, I'm a hypocrite. I'm staying at my mother's right now with my time in New York City, and upstairs is a lot of domestic violence, bro. Upstairs I hear it, and it's almost like a Twilight Zone, bro. Like, I literally am there, and I have to untrigger myself to remind myself of where I'm trying to go.
Yeah.
because it's painful to hear where others are going, right? It's like, and I'm not here just worried about myself. Like, yeah, I could go and continue this bath with this warm candle, but it kind of sucks. Like, right, yeah, I could continue this stretching with this nice healing music, but doesn't it just suck? Like, that's why I get shocked about. I have a lot of family members that are doing well, but you know what I'm saying, right across from them, their siblings are not doing well, and it's like, that's mind blowing to me. Like, that you can do well and be good in your own joint and think to yourself that at the end of this life, if you also believe in like an afterlife and God and the pearly gates, it's just you and God, and y'all just like right there, like it's TiVo, like, yo, we're gonna let this person, you know, what we gonna do with this person? Yeah, let them in. Yeah, let them in. Yeah, let them in. Is that convenient for you, like the way this life works? Or does God work with everybody? And if you don't work with God, working for everybody, then you ain't doing shit either. Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm thinking, like, yeah, I mean, like, what can I really do for him? Actually, I can't do shit for him. What I gotta do for him is what I gotta do for me. Make sure I don't do that. Make sure I never get to a place where I want to drag somebody. Make sure I never get to a place where I'm gonna apologize over here, way more here than I do actually right here. Yeah. You know what I mean? Imagine that, bro. If something comes out and I gotta apologize here, you know, I want to apologize to my brother Barry. It's a disgusting thing, you know, like after here we doing with this podcast, the Manuscript, and you find out that I'm an abuser. That's mad personal. I'm in your space.
Yeah, well, it gets uncomfortable, Rob. You know, I think people are not. I don't think people are ready to be held accountable in that way. You know, like even going back to the situation, like again, there's so many ways in which you can intervene, but it's about figuring out what's the one that could keep the person more safest. You know, like
that's a problem of mine.
I don't know where you fit that in again, because there's so many variables. You know, you call the police could bring more problems.
Right.
So, you know, you intervene yourself, that's a wild card, you know what I mean? Because you could be dealing with whoever the abuser is, you know, again, gender, don't matter the gender. If you try to intervene, you don't know who this person is and where and what is the extent of their abusive actions, right? Because, again, there's different buckets. I do think, and I fear that, like, someone like a Diddy falls in a bucket that's kind of scary in the way that, like, almost psychopathic. You know, like, I think he's too far gone, you know what I mean? And I think that can be possible for humans, where in our mental health, our mental state, we are too far gone, and we are stuck in we can be stuck in a very, you know, what I imagine him to be potentially a narcissistic state of, like, you know, the world does revolve around me. You're all my peons, you know, everyone's a cockroach that I could just squish. And again, imagine if you have money and you know, because again, like you said, imagine that, like,
all these
and most of
and sounds I'm making is just discomfort.
And most of us can't, like, think about it, man. You could pull out a wad of cash, like $10K, and you could make somebody do something you ask them to do. Like, can you imagine how far gone in your head you would be? Like, would you even be able to put yourself in somebody's shoes? Because you're like, hell no, I would never stoop that low for $10K. But that's because you got the $10K to give. So of course you can't imagine, like, stooping so low. Right. Meanwhile, that $10K you gave somebody else, they're probably so desperate for that. Of course they're gonna do what you say. But again, that kind of trips this person up into thinking they probably have some godlike, you know, aura to them, right? And that, like, money really, and, like, look, again, there's this video that just came out now. Imagine the money he paid to make this go away. Like, again, so this whole time he's probably moving godlike, knowing the things he's done and gotten away with. So, you know, and again, not to throw the name on in vain, but that's how serious I think that's. But I do hope it comes across as, like, piercing, because that's how serious, like, and far gone he can possibly be, and not just him, but abusers like him, you know, who have the amount of power and money and wealth to be able to, like, yo, I'm gonna make shit move. Like, I could make communities move. Like, it's not just like I can make 10 people, 50 people move. Like, no, I could get a whole system to move at the sound of my, like, voice, you know, if I make a demand. And if not, if I don't have a system, I have enough money that there's going to be somebody, because everyone has a price. So there's going to be somebody that I can get, you know what I'm saying? And so think about it. If abuse is about power and control, and you've been given all the resources to maintain this, like, what will be the incentive in becoming a great person? So you did hit it on the head. I do think agree with, like, he can't live the same lifestyle, right? because again, if
I
he,
like where you getting into this. That's a whole other episode.
but that's what I'm
like,
saying.
It's 10-10.
Well,
What is the incentive?
what would be the incentive for him to
What
change?
is anyone's incentive?
Well, you know, since we're speaking to men, like, you know, because now men, you know, we the ones that, you know, we have some advantages here in terms of the way we set up society, that we could get away with more violence. You know, violence is come to be accepted of us. So, you know, everyone's capable of being violent, but again, in this society in particular, I think we've been given the privilege of again acting out in violence and to be more accepted. So like, again, is there an incentive for someone like him to change? Like, and then what of the men around him who also benefited from his pockets? How do they tell him, like, dude, you made me a millionaire?
I want to ask you a question.
You made me a millionaire. How do I, you know? And again, even to the local level, if it's your boy who, you know, you work together, let's say, I don't know, you work together, you went to school with, you know what I'm saying? Like, you and I went to City College. You were in, you know, in your department where you majored in. If somebody,
I think we even know somebody. I don't know
you know,
their name, but I think we know a few people. It's been like 1 or 2 people that have gone to
you know,
Truman that have done some crimes that they showed up, and it was domestic violent crimes. I don't wish to show their names out.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Let's not shout them out now. Let's not. Yeah. No. You already said a lot with Truman. But it's around us though. That's my whole point.
Looking at it and seeing it on my page, on my Facebook. Yo, don't we know this person? I'm like, they do look familiar.
It's like, what do we do again? Because I've seen it from my own 2 eyes. People have a hard time of calling out people who are right next to them. You know, when you hear about it.
The energy's intense, and
so
all you're doing is really wishing that it finds a resolution.
Right. So again, if there, we could definitely see why there's no incentive for somebody like Diddy. But again, what would even be the incentive for a regular dude walking down the block? You know what I mean? The dude upstairs who you're hearing, like, what's the incentive for him to really change? You know, if no one's knocking on his door, none of his boys are telling him, like, yo, bro, you probably shouldn't be this way. Or if you are angry and if you think that's the way of being in a relationship, nah, it's not about control. Because again, it's not about like, yo, talk to me about your feelings, bro. Because again, some of these people have no feelings. You get to the point, you get because I worked with a lot of them for 5 years. And like, well, that's what I'm saying. Because if you're in control,
you're a psychopath if you don't not have
yeah.
feelings.
And people do walk around. I do with psychopathic tendencies, but when we think of psychopaths, we think of freaking, you know, or that, right, or like freaking the Christian Bale types and American Psycho, like, you know what I mean? We think of those, but not like some dude that lives right next to us who's been traumatized so much that they can't even feel, but they know how to act. They know how to be normal. They know how to function in social settings. They can't feel. They ride across from you sharing a beer or a blunt, but they can't put themselves in your shoes. They're gonna laugh at your jokes. They're gonna, oh yeah, man, that sounds sad, but it's like, yeah, but that's not me, you know, like, and more importantly, once they get to that state of like, I want to control you now because I said and now you triggered me, and now you triggered that abusive response in me. I definitely am not gonna feel. There's no feeling. Like, now you shut that off. Now the Terminator's on. So, you know,
that's where I think Diddy's at. Not that he's not redeemable. But it's just that
I think they all might be redeemable.
You're so sensitive because you've been doing this for so long. You're in a trigger response.
He's a Terminator,
you
man.
You didn't even notice it.
And it's like
Halloween came and you were the Joker and everybody was like, oh, that shit is really great. But for some people, it was scary because you thought it was too good. Like the Joker was inside you, and now today.
And people were calling it out. I think some people were low key calling it out, like how it's fitting.
No,
you know. But again, what's the incentive? Like, because one, he can't feel. So now you got to get him to a place where he feels. But how's he going to feel? That means then you got to find who does he respect.
Okay. Who does he love?
And he likely respects men who are just like him. So now you got to change the men who are like him.
Well, then you're talking about his sons. I would think about you thinking about
maybe. I don't know because usually parents like that also feel authority and control over their own kids. They do. So he's not going to look at his son as respect.
Listen.
He's going to look at his son like, I own you, you know? So who are the men that he respects?
Or obey me.
Right? Son. And I got the feeling that he only really respects or listens to men who are like him. And again, that I'm also pulling from my experiences doing these groups with fathers, seeing how some of them, even being in a group full of men,
there'll be one vulnerable guy who's gotten to a place of like sharing and reflection, and the guy who's still not ready to be there, yeah, but he could do that because that's da 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 da. You know, if they judge each other, they're all in the same room, same space. Yeah, but he's different.
Now, you
And
see
then
what
when
that-
it's another dude who speaks to their like, oh, okay, we kind of similar backgrounds. Now when that other dude is speaking, now you see their eyes like, oh, okay, now I can listen. And I've seen that plenty of times, man. When you see participants come out and they're more into the conversations
that
and they're
person
trying
that person you
and they're
just described
trying to make change, you know,
show
it's like,
themselves though in that moment, right?
oh, for sure.
You know,
But I think
they
a lot
did
of us as
something about
humans are like that,
justification, like,
you know,
it sounded like he was justifying.
for sure. His reasoning for like, I don't have to respect you, but again, I
we're
think,
not at the same place, so it's not
yeah,
the same thing.
right,
I can't get to where you at because you went through that.
right. And I might not even respect you because you look soft, you know, or you look like a certain type of man that I'm not. Like I don't respect that. So, you know, it's the same way as like shit. Sometimes I tell people closest to me like the same thing, and they don't listen to me because I'm whatever. I'm the brother, or of course you're gonna tell me you're my counselor.
It's not openness.
But they'll hear it from somebody else who they find as cool, like the teenagers especially, right? I'll tell them something, but when the cool teenager tells them, they'll listen. And it's okay, like, because to some degree, I try not to be that way, but I do function that way. There are just some people who I would probably have to hear something twice because, like, I don't know. And then versus somebody who could just tell me and I'll be like, oh, well, I respect your opinion already because I respect who you are, and et cetera, et cetera. And I am going to listen to you. So, again, going back to Diddy and, like, how to help even starting, like, if we're thinking about helping, right? Because, again, in this platform, I would love for, like, someone like him to come in and we could challenge their ideas, their thinking, because it starts there as well, right? Challenging their thinking, challenging what really drew them to those behaviors. Not like, nah, you know, with some dark times and that. Nah. Let's really talk about what drove you to make those choices. And those choices were based on power and control. So let's not even try to make it seem like it was because of dark times. No. You wanted to control her, so let's just go there. Like, yeah, I wanted her to shut up. Okay, so why did you want her to shut up? Well, she wasn't, like, right? Like, let's really talk like that, not like, yeah, you know, it got the best of me, man. So, yeah, I did tell her to shut up. And, like, you know, because she wasn't listening to me. Like, nah, you wanted to control her. And boom, right? So, but again, to even get there is like, wow, how do we even get to that conversation with that kind of dude when he likely will only listen to another dude who's just like him and who believes, well, yeah, of course I'm going to tell you to shut up if you don't listen to me. You're my wife. Like, duh.
And that's
you know,
see, this is the thing that amazes me about God.
So how do we change? You know,
bringing this to me right now. There's no answer for that because
like, there has to be, man. No, like otherwise the manuscript is like
no. It's the manuscript is
because hopefully you know
again, like,
we can influence.
It's out of our. The beauty of this is to show like we have control to be here to talk to y'all right now.
Right.
But we're in the same vein, don't control you. This is more difficult than anything you're really even not, in my opinion, given as men. As men, they want us to I got control of all this right here. I'm shaping this. I know the intricacies, but really be honest, if I take the screwdriver and as basic men know how to do this, when you open this up, it's real intricate. There's details to this. So let's talk about the details of everything. Like, God knows these details. You know, you cannot hide from, and this is where it gets tricky for me because it was even a divide between you and I where I began talking about God. You know, not too much, but again, right, it becomes a space where I can't quite articulate to people what I mean because the brain needs direct functions. When I speak on God, it's way too open, it's way too like hands off, like Jesus take the wheel, but I'm driving. I gotta, you know what I mean? It's not logic. We need logic. I get it. Logically speaking, though, let's think about it, right? That's why I say take your hand off of it. And bro, I'm telling you, God don't take hands off of nobody. God will get his hands on this man. But you take your hands off. Everybody, like, let go. Like, what's up? If this person is actually like this, these people are abusive, they're not healthy. They're unfortunately, I don't want them to be alone. You know what I mean? But they're gonna feel alone before they're even alone. You're never alone. That's the trick. But you're gonna feel alone. Yeah. Because people are not gonna be with you the same way you're choosing to have them with you. They don't want to be with you in the way that you're being, whether or not it's aggressive in any way you're stubborn, passive aggressive. It doesn't have to be physically aggressive. All these things that just aren't balanced with community, people, but one-on-one, we're not bouncing off each other. You know what I mean? You're gonna feel alone. It's not gonna happen. So I like we can do that. We can have our own journey and build on ourselves and identify with ourselves. His son can stick that, you know what I'm saying, put that flag for himself. I'm King Combs, but what is a king like, right? What does a king do? He passed me a throne. I gotta better this castle. I gotta do something here, right? It's no different from every other king. You know what I'm saying, that there's been sons that have taken the throne of terrible kings, and they had to go ahead and face the lashings of like, oh, you're just like your father, you're gonna leave us starving. You could do that, but look, that's how you do it. You set the president. That shit is hard as fuck. They don't teach us that, to make the manuscript, but also in the same sense talk about that this is the manuscript. I'm giving you these conversations, but at the end of the day, bro, you dead ass only heard me for 30 seconds. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I've been out here talking for an hour. You tune in for 30 seconds, 15 seconds before, 15 seconds now. I have no control over you. I can't tell you what to do.
You have influence, though.
Yeah, of course.
You have influence,
so
and we do have influence.
So is the soda. So is the milk that you drink.
For sure.
So is all this extra shit that you have to care. That's why I'm like, you have to care, man. You have to really care. What you care about. When the woman was walking away from you and she disrespected you, you cared about your image and your ego and your pride. So you didn't care about her ego and pride. So you whooped her ass so that you could feel better. So you cared about that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm telling you to challenge yourself in what you care about. I care about. I don't want to look like I don't want men to look at me and think I'm a bitch. I don't want men to look at me and think anything negative, or not even negative, just anything disrespectful or less manly.
Right.
Because I'm not giving you your typical manly shit. But that, you know what I mean? Like, look at the duality and the way that the devil will fuck with you there. Like, if I cared about what y'all saying there, I'm actually counteracting the whole. Like, it's a mind trick. Like you were telling me before, like when I was like, yo, is that like what was it you were telling me in the last episode? He was like, well, bro, they don't call it a machine for no reason. Where it was like, oh, they kind of having like they're trying to fuck with us. I will go back and show you, like, basically, man, set the example, bro. Be the man that you want to be.
Yeah.
Right? For me, the man that I want to be, I've never put my hands on a woman like that physically. You know what I mean? I know I've never physically harmed a woman. I never dragged her. I never looked at her. I wanted to hurt her, do anything like that. The most I ever did was to tell a woman, like, you're annoying me, and then tap her on the shoulder and be like, this is annoying, right? I should stop this, right? I should stop this. And that's the most that I did, bro. Do I ever want to physically harm a woman? Never have I physically wanted to harm a woman. So I know. But I also know that that's, again, like I say, that's just that's one side of the battle, bro.
Right.
Because if I'm a man and I'm watching some woman get beat up, I'm not sitting there thinking like, bro, that's not me. As a man, I never abuse a woman as a man. That's still not masculine to me.
Well, it's not only that. It's not really doing anything to change the narrative, you know.
And to me, it's like, I'm gonna stand in front of her and I'm gonna help her. I'm gonna stop that whole shit to happen. I'm not gonna have to go macho y mano and stop you, but I'm gonna let you know that, bro, you're not doing this in front of me. You're not doing this in front of me. If y'all want to go home and go ahead and do all that terrible toxic shit, then you're going to have to go home and crawl into y'all fucking holes and treat each other like that. But y'all not doing that out here. And now you're not going to affect my life and get me to be quiet because y'all are acting like this.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
And I think that's one style of intervening that I think some people do have, and that moral standing of like, this is not going to happen in front of me, you know. I do think it would be great if more people kind of took that on, especially men. But again, I think where I struggle all these years is trying to find my voice and again, speaking out against domestic violence, just knowing how, how it's not well received often. You know, it's still a very huge pushback. People still, even the most, I would say people who are well-meaning still have really nasty ideas about domestic violence, oftentimes excusing it, whether they know it or not. And so it's tough, man. It's tough to challenge it. And I think where for years the struggle has always been like, fighting the good fight and like trying to do it in a way that's as peaceful, you know, as like connecting as possible, right? Because again, I do want to be able to work with young men and changing things, right? As I have put my part in doing so, and I want to continue doing so. It's just over the years being like, man, you know, trying to strike a balance between that, like, who are those that I can speak to and who are those that I gotta put my guard up and defend myself against you too, because like, you're not only gonna hurt that person, you're gonna hurt me too, like physically. And what good are we if we're both dead? So you know, I do struggle with like I just seeing him, man. Again, just seeing like again working with men and having men challenge me after they made me think that I've earned their trust to push them, but even still, when I push that one button too far, it's like yo fuck you, and you know getting real aggressive like the so it's and then moments where I freeze up. But I've also seen how like sometimes you know it's okay to stand your ground and like fight that energy. Like no, you're coming with fire. I'm a just to me it's more like I'm not gonna hit you with fire. I'm a just turn up the heat too and just let you know like there's fire here too. You know, and I don't want to fight. Like I don't want there to be fire, but like you're not just gonna dominate me because again, I think folks who fall into unfortunately, I think this pattern of abusive behaviors, it becomes like habitual, like second nature, and so that's all they know. It's like, oh, if things become too much, I'm gonna just control you, and it's like sometimes they haven't learned any other way, and they haven't learned that like, you know, most people are not gonna just like let you control them, and so. You know, and so I do think that there are people again, thankfully in working with men who like they present as like this very rah, but then you start challenging them back and you stand your ground on what you believe in, and they end up respecting it. Again, I think I mentioned that like working with groups of fathers, one of the questions we always would ask towards like a post interview of them getting through like programming and stuff, it would be like, what was the most helpful thing throughout your time with getting help? And they would always, I think, honestly, like 95% of the answers are like that you challenged us. You didn't let us get away with bullshit. Even when I was being the most annoying participant, like, y'all still challenged my ideas. Y'all still challenged me. Y'all didn't just let me get away with shit. I'm telling you, Rob, that's like 95% of the answers were always, that's why it still stuck with me because every post interview I did, I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 times, the participant would sit there. I'll ask them the question. It was always the same questions. How do you feel about the program to start? What were the best things about it? What were some things you didn't like? And every time we got to the what was the best thing about it? What are you gonna take away the most from the group? Is that you challenged us. So I also know that some men are waiting to be challenged. Like they know they're like, I'm beating you. Nobody gonna say nothing, right? Until like, yo, what the fuck? Like, oh, okay, so somebody's finally gonna, you know. And again, abuse as a whole lives in darkness. You know what I'm saying? The more we could do it quietly, right? Even going back to Diddy, I could hide. Yo, just bury the tapes. Shh. Nobody talk about it. Yo, I pay off employees. Everybody shut up. You know, right? If when you shine a light on it, oh, shit. Like,
if we were really about it, though, think about it. If we were really about it, we would make that we would make that just as illegal as the death penalty. We would make it that domestic violence.
That's an even larger conversation right there, man. Because again, who's redeemable and who's not? Like, right? There are people who engage in these behaviors.
But fear of God is like, that's how y'all playing out here.
You know,
that's what I'm saying. So we know that when we take a life, how tricky it is. Some people have been raped, took the person's life, and still they had to answer for that life that they took, no matter what happened to them. So I was like, wow, that's insane to me. So now imagine that, like, let's really draw. That shit is a blurred line, bro. Let's really draw the clear lines.
Well,
as men,
that definitely has to be
a physical specimen that you should never put your hands physically to harm a woman. That's boom, right there, drawn on the line. Right? It's like another one that they want to do. Like, you're a woman. You have the God-given right to give birth. Right? It should never be that you have that right and you willy-nilly use it. And you know what I'm saying? Now it's like, oh, when you get pregnant, you get pregnant. It's like, oh. So, but then now it's like black and white. Like, obviously, we're not gonna go ahead and tell a woman if she got raped and now she's pregnant, then she gotta have the baby. Like, you know, we're talking about a world where it's like, oh no, we're eliminating those kind of crimes.
Yeah. Well, we're talking. That's again larger conversation, man. I think it definitely should always come down to choice for sure, and drawing a line on the sand. I think with certain behaviors. I think culturally though, because I do think, you know, I don't know, we're running definitely over time. I think to emphasize though that the challenge to me continues to be the certain pieces of the puzzle is like challenging the minuscule ways in which we accept this culture, you know. Because it does start, unfortunately, from young, where we start excusing aggressive behavior. And more specific, I think we excuse boys' aggression on girls from a very early age. And so it blurs the lines a lot of times, man. Again, I work with teenage boys who they're so well-meaning, but they don't understand. But I'm still working with them on understanding boundaries, man. Like, just stuff, because stuff gets excused and joked around. Oh, girls like that, and like just the ways that some stuff on social media kind of like
I wonder if,
kind
if those men don't know.
what's the word?
Again, like the ignorance of the brain. Right. You're not. Right. What was it? The Jay-Z said. You know, you're the. What is it about being a villain? Like, you know, die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the
Two-Face. Yeah, like the Two-Face.
Where it's like, I wonder if these kids don't really truly know what is. Again, it's about self-awareness.
Well, they don't, because it's been fed to them, and then
know how dangerous you really are.
Well, how dangerous the behaviors, because I always emphasize that's like it's the behaviors, not you. You're not a messed up, but that behavior is like what you're doing. Yeah, well, at least to another behavior that hurts another person, you know.
Wondering if they're so naive, and I was ignorant and naive, bro.
I mean, we all were, bro. Imagine the jokes we had against girls. We were very mean to girls, bro.
The only difference is that, like,
in middle school and all that stuff, you know.
Right? We weren't. I don't think.
Well,
we
not
were
very
seeking,
mean,
but right? I didn't seek sex. You know what I'm saying? But the sexual talks around being when I'm in a group is I sought out for me, and I'm not straying away from it because of peer pressure.
Yeah,
you know,
so it's part of the culture.
Who are out there, right, looking for it. They're gonna do different things, wrong things, for those kind of energies. I think that's a big difference of why we weren't put in situations where we could have made those kind of, scary mistakes. I think that matters a lot. Where
I think we were though, Rob. That's why I think differently. I know. Well, speaking for myself, I know I was, and again, I do think I've harmed girls, and in my life that I've been in a relationship with because they've told me either, in what way or another, and so it's like. But I know I'm not. I know that the harm and the behaviors like in my relationship wasn't abusive because again, abuse is a different thing. I'm abusive when it's like if I have a pattern of doing these things.
right.
And I think, excuse me, going back to just like what does even like a response look like? He's trying to do something different. Excuse me, let me get some water. There you go. It's like how do I repair the community? If that makes sense. Like, so this is like, that's why I talk to young men now. Because how else do I make amends for the past ways I was harmful? Well, it's by making sure it doesn't happen again for other generations. So, ideally, big picture, someone like Diddy and all that, like, shit, make them do community service.
But man, like even when you said that right there, bro, the kids will say like this is what women like. Like, when you really get to talk to women, I don't even feel like they've had been given the safe space to tell the men that we're from what they actually really like. Right. I feel like that's another thing that these kids are out here talking about what women like and women like this, and I'm like, yo, bro, if you actually talk to them, befriend them, make them feel safe enough to tell you, some shit like, what I mean? Like, they're not even telling y'all the truth, man. They telling you ego's truths. Like, yeah, baby, you the best, or yeah, nobody does it like you, because that's what you need, bro. And if I try to correct you and tell you how I want it, how I like it, you're not gonna do it the way I like it, because it gotta be the way you like it. So let's be real out here. I'm seeing a lot of men do that, like older generations, where like you want the facade that your woman is actually happy because you can't deal.
Of course. You
make a terrible home if it had to be that you had to tend to their happiness. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so well, the young kids now, I don't know. I was, again, like you said, just setting the examples the best part.
And that's why even like, again, I'd be trying to, as much as possible, whenever we can, throw in messages here and tips and stuff.
Tell your wife that she look beautiful, bro. Tell her she look great all the time.
But not just your wife. Any woman or friend around you. I think it starts there. Because another thing I think that it's traditional amongst men that is like culturally accepted is that you treat your partner way better than other women. So like that stranger, that classmate, that teacher, I don't really have to care about her as much as I have to care about my mother and my girlfriend. If you're my girlfriend, I'll treat you nice. If you're not my girlfriend, I'm gonna treat you like shit. So I think that is also a culture that needs to kind of go away with and die. And I think because it doesn't serve young men well, or men in general, because I've seen grown men and young men have that same mentality of like, well, that's not my partner, so like, no, I'm not doing that for them. It's like, dog, it's just basic decency, treating women kind in general. Because I think, again, even growing up, I know that was a message I got. Like, your girlfriend, you treat them this way. Every other girl, you treat them that way. And if they're perceived a hoe, you definitely treat them this way. Like, You know, I think it starts with even just respecting them as a human in all of their forms, and then for us being more open and willing to be ourselves. Because you're talking about women telling us what we need to hear for our ego, but I think we tell them things they need that we think they want to hear for our own ego.
I mean, hello, that's what I'm saying. Right. I mean,
and a lot of times
sure.
we still think but because again, it's still.
They're not safe. They don't feel safe.
But it's still cyclical. It's still, you know, I think they're taught
safe.
they're taught is not safe. They're taught, you know, that they still have to live out their manhood in these ways.
Right.
That's gonna serve them. You know, thankfully again I've been put in a position to have access and work with young men to have these conversations and be transparent with them around like, listen, this is a suggestion for me because I've seen it play out already. Like that's all I have.
Right.
Age has provided me and life has provided me time to see things through, see how like a young man I knew when I was a teenager have a certain mindset around women and maintain a certain pattern with women, and how that then affects him later on in life. So, you know, a lot of the times I'm able to then give them suggestions and also tips, and also just talk to them openly about like, man, this may sound like a complicated conversation, but it's not, right? Talking about boundaries, talking about just how to even treat people around you and women. And so, yeah, I think I didn't have a chance to go to work today, but I know definitely throughout the week I'm probably going to have more conversations about this video of Diddy. And I know in that I'm going to use that opportunity to talk about, like, boundaries again and, like, you know, for encouraging young men to think about their own boundaries, and also encouraging them not to look at women as properties and controlling. Because so just using that as an opportunity, man, to hopefully continue to change their framework, because I know that for me, I don't carry that framework, you know. So, and I know that has me chilling. You know what I mean?
If I was a woman, reincarnation is real.
That has me chilling.
I'm a woman. I'm coming back, bro. I'm not living, bro. I'm dying if you swinging on me. If I'm gonna be I'm dead ass, bro. If I'm a woman,
I'm standing up,
bro. I'm dying, bro.
Like, fight it.
But that's why I don't know, man. I don't know what that is, man. Like,
well, hopefully that's self defense, and you don't want to.
No,
you know,
of course,
you know.
of course.
But
that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I cannot like I get it.
It's tough.
No
it's
judgment
tough
on
there.
those. Like I can't. Like I get it. Like
It's tough until we're there, man. But
and
you know,
once
you're
like,
a victim,
you love this person, you don't want to hurt this person, right? You're just as bad if you take this person out. Like,
yeah,
bro, I have it recorded. Like next episode, but we'll talk about some. We'll get a little bit dark into it. Like, I had this video recorded. I want to share with you. That was just terrible, bro. It was a domestic violence situation that was occurring. I think the fella pulled out a gun. You know what I'm saying? And then it got into a little tussle. Then Shorty had the gun in her hand, and you can't really see it, but you could hear it. And she pops on him, and it like now everybody's screaming, and she sounds like she didn't know it had a bullet in it, and she's like, oh my gosh. Now she sounds like, you know what I'm saying? Now she's having some sort of remorse. Now she's scared. Now she's like, you know, like it sounds like you're repenting. Like at first you didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Now this happens, and the saddest part about it to me, this is the sad part where I think about all this adult conversation. You know, it really does help to not forget about the kids, you know. In a lot of these situations, I do see God put in children, you know what I'm saying? If as adults, you know, man to man, woman to woman, woman to woman, woman to man, like if we could really like this, I wonder if there's always kids in every scenario somewhere lurking, where like if you could focus your attention on a child and kind of tap into the children's energy, maybe we could simmer this stuff down. Because there was a little kid in that situation, bro, that she came in and she was just started crying. She was saying, "My daddy."
Yo, usually
it was just breaking my heart.
Usually, this kids involved.
Of course, I just think before it gets so heated, right? Like, I've seen many situations where the things just get so heated, we completely forget about the children.
Oh yeah, I mean, and again, there's a scientific reason for that as well, to explain just how our brain works and what happens when we reach a certain stress level, and now we're like in what's called usually recognized as fight or flight, right? Most of us are literally incapable of, like, we're not with tunnel vision, man. And so
yeah, I think the children can be a very big factor, man. You know?
I mean, you know, to some degree, sure, but I mean, if children were a factor, then this genocide wouldn't be happening, you know. But
again,
it's and most people who are aware of the war and what's happening, no one, you know, I don't think enough people are on the front line.
You see what's circulating, right? A lot of the videos of it seems like somebody out there is begging, like, please, yo, I know this is gonna work. Like, yo, look at what I'm seeing here. Somehow these videos are circulating where they're recording these children massacred, bro, and they're sending it out like, please, please. And I get it. I'm like, yo, that kind of energy, like, for real, like, where's that coming from? That's circulating somewhere out here. And why aren't we feeling more like?
Because again, some people lost that it's the atrophy as they call it.
Bro. Okay.
Is you lose. I think people are so desensitized, and again, what's even sadder is that when I'm reading back in history, like even in this country, like when there weren't any child labor laws, so many children were dying just working in factories, and so children dying was a thing. And so I don't know that unfortunately us as a society are as evolved as we'd like to think, where people do really care about children. I think a lot of times people say they care about children and they really don't. So I don't know that children would be a big enough motivating factor to shift, I think, this conversation around domestic violence. I will say though, there was a paper I was doing for my thesis and when I was doing my social work program, and I wrote on like fathers and child welfare, and so there was a research that stated that children have been proven to be, as far as like when men get help, a motivating factor. Like a lot of times when fathers specifically seek out mental health services and speak and are willing to get help, a large majority of them say that what drove them to get help is their children, and wanted to be a better father to their children, and recognizing how their behaviors, etc., are having a negative impact on their children. So that seems to be proven and backed by research that has some that there is a correlation there. I don't know that the same works for any other type of parent, but for fathers it seems to be a motivating factor. Again, I think the number is somewhere like around 60-70%. Again, and even working with fathers myself, like from just anecdotally what I've seen, there was definitely, children will always get brought up, and I think even utilizing children in conversations or reminding the fathers of their roles as fathers and their children did have a positive impact. But again, there are also and I guess as this conversation I proved, there's a lot of layers to like this problem of abuse in DV, that like children can motivate a man to like get inside the door, but there's so many other things that need to happen in order for him to even stay in and keep him coming back, and then on top of that, keeping him from actually learning. Because I can't tell you the number of men who freaking had perfect attendance to a 6-month group and didn't learn shit. They're just getting it by month 6. So they sat there the whole time, not really taking in the information, not really even willing to apply. They just showed up because, hey, man, it's the right thing to do. And my kids are going to be better for it. But they'll sit there and they don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, because it takes more.
So, great that your child influenced you to get through the door, but now there's extra work to be done, player. So the children, all in all, just to say the children are not enough. So again, it does take collective effort, and I think to kind of like transition us to a closing, the one thing as far as like these last 2 conversations we've been having around like hurt and hurting, when men hurt other people. One thing that, again, in hopes of this kind of platform, and maybe even if not this one, other ones, where there are spaces where, again, men could come together and then safely challenge each other. It doesn't have to always be an agreement. It doesn't have to always look pretty, but that can safely challenge each other's ideas, that where men could challenge each other, on some like, I'm going to call you out on your bad behavior in any situation, man, whatever the case may be, so, our locker room, you know what I'm saying? Like if bigger picture of our locker room talk included more forwarding conversations, not just fucking ayo and dick jokes, right? Like we could have those for sure.
Let it be known here. The
but
Manuscript is, for me, at least for me, I think
like let's change.
Is huge. If you, that's gangster shit, like Griselda Blanc, you know what I'm saying? Like
what, transparency?
Woman, like,
what do you mean?
Yeah, I think transparency, like, it's just a really, it's the most gangster thing to do at this day and age. Like, you know, with all this weird shit going on, all this weird ass energy, just be straight up. Like, really be out here. Like, I'm not telling you, tell me that your ass itches and that you got a fucking mole that you're gonna get a surgery on your underarm. Like, all this extra personal shit. I'm just saying, like, when you feel it and it's happening right here, like, say something, be about it. Like, be yourself. Like, for sure. Like, I know with us, one time we were working doing music with somebody that I remember they didn't come back and make music with us because they were not in the healthiest mental space, and it was unfortunate because I wish that they had gotten to know us a little bit more, to know that we're not clocking you on your mental health. You know what I mean? Like, we actually just commend you for even just saying it right now through text. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is actually really, this is not detrimental to our connection. Like, you could come through and not want to say shit and just be like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, unless you're trying to say, like, you're going to be in the space and you're going to be negative and you're going to start, like, cutting ass on me because you're not happy about the way you look. You know what I mean? Like, that's different. Let's be conscious about ourselves. We talking about transparent consciousness. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just living, like, you know, aware of yourself and you're being open about yourself. We're not talking about being perfect, you know? So a lot of the times I think that's the idea for me with the manuscript. That should be the idea for life, man. Like, you know what I mean? And when I think about being gangster, you know, it's not about being a man. It's really hard to even talk to now about, like, being a man, because I feel like what I want to help people is just being a human. Like, just like, in the idea of a hue is a color, like, just the color of who you are. Like, be your color, be who you are. Yeah. Like, you know, but at first I do have to talk to the men. I do have to talk to men about, like, all right, so, like, now you feeling sexual and shit, and you're looking at shorties like this, and all right, so, you know, obviously, it's, you know, she's 16, 17, that's not good, right? 18, like, you know, like, that's legal. Like, you got to teach them these weird things, but then also get to a place where, all right, but now a man, 35, we're not looking at 18-year-olds, because now we're in a different state of our life, right? We're 30 and above, so now we're not looking at 18-year-olds who are just coming into the world that we already established in, God willing. Yeah, I have those kind of conversations, like.
Yeah. Well, again,
that's exhausting, to be honest. It's a lot.
Because it's a long time coming, man, and like, it's long overdue, and we're going up against years of, again, training,
and parents not doing it themselves,
of ways of being, of ways of acting, of ways of also specifically, again, treating women that it's proven to not really be helpful or forwarding to society. So now we're doing the work to, like, undo some of these things. But I agree, like, right, it does start with conversations, definitely transparent ones. And if someone is not in a place of transparency, hopefully they trust the process enough that they'll keep showing up, and maybe hopefully get to a place of transparency, because, you know, I'm still working myself on being as transparent as possible all the time with people. And so I know it's also a journey to even get there, for men especially, for many different reasons, for, like, so
I would like to talk on the next episode about how can we also, like, be mindful of the women, man. You know what I mean? Like, it just sometimes feels like, because it's so easy to talk, we're talking about domestic violence, man. Think about, like, when I was talking about to you earlier, the privilege of us as men talking about this incident is I'm not missed on it. Like, I can see, like, how we can do this, but if we were two women, it would be difficult, because now we gotta, like, have the rest of the world, being men, you know what I'm saying, looking at us and having an opinion about what we're saying. We can get harassed, we can get pushed, we can get, like, you know what I'm saying, all these things can happen to us. But when it's us, at least we can do something. At least they're afraid that we could punch them right in the fucking mouth, or we could do something right back to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm aware of that. So I think to myself, a lot of the times it doesn't feel fair. It doesn't feel nice. I don't know what the word is. It just doesn't feel like the air still feels hot when I think about talking about this, and not, you know, what does a woman do in this situation, bro? Where I'm like, that shit is crazy. Like, if I'm Cassie and I'm living in this fucking world. Yeah. You
that's
know,
the man versus the bear. You seen that damn conversation?
The man versus the bear?
You haven't seen that social media trend? They were asking women if they were if they were caught in the woods, would they rather, like, you know, bump into a bear or a man? And many women would say, I'd rather bump into a bear.
Oh my God.
than bumping into a random man in the middle of the woods.
Me with this hairy chest. I mean,
nah, man, it's
I'd rather bump into a Rob.
Yeah, there's a yeah, man. That was actually. I'm surprised you haven't seen it. That was actually dominating a couple social media spaces and going viral in TikTok, especially that conversation. So
that should. I mean, that's what we up against, bro.
But again, I think it's less. But it's less. That's what I'm saying. Is that? But that's why we have to talk to the men, man. I think because I can't tell a woman how to feel because I'm not a woman, So I don't know. When women tell me like, you don't know how it feels to walk into a room when it's just guys. Like I don't. Yeah. Even if I was to try to say like, a comparison I used to use is like being harassed by guys in the street and like, or like a woman turning a corner and seeing a bunch of dudes versus me turning a corner and seeing a bunch of cops. It's like the closest I could try to like relate in terms of like that shock you get. I was like, oh shit, something's gonna happen. Should I cross the street? Like, am I, but it's
throw away this blunt. I can throw away this blunt. Right?
But it's still not the same, right? Because at the end of the day, for me it's cops, for them is men, and that comes with a whole different list of like factors and layers. So
I would never understand it. I just want to give it space.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could definitely get onto it. I would be more inclined though to just try to think of how because think of the conversation from a way of like, again, what can men do in those situations? I think how do we speak to the men so that we can become more conscious of when we're potentially or intentionally putting women in positions where they are uncomfortable, they feel stalked, they feel harassed, they feel cornered, they feel like you're not getting the freaking hint, you know what I mean? So I think that I'll be more inclined of like having that conversation and like talking about like, what is just some simple stuff we picked up and what we noticed, because again, if you're a man, you're struggling with body language when you're interacting with a woman because you haven't had many experiences. Well, I can tell you because, I've had enough experiences with women on a professional, platonic, romantic, I think enough now level that I feel comfortable providing like my experience of like, here's some things that I picked up and things you could do to just ensure that the boundaries are being respected and like you can be safe. Ways I also misread boundaries and my mishaps, and then how you learn to then like, okay, be better the next time, So yeah, I think that, and again, thinking about how much men don't talk about these things on a practical level, like that is the important one, right? We could say, yo, don't do that. Don't ever just give a girl a random drink. Like, right? We could say those things, but like, let's also talk about the little nuance and why and the what else can you do and picking up on like, if this is how you're feeling in the moment, if this is how you're thinking about interacting with this person, what are some options available to you, right? Because some men is like, yo, I want to talk to her, and then they've been taught to force their ways into a conversation with a woman.
Or let me tell you what I messed up on, right? When you don't want to talk to them, and what I'm saying, temptation, like the devil is cunning, man. I don't call it the devil. It's the oppositions that don't want to have you have your nice little dream story of where you're doing things the right way. They cunning. You don't want to talk to this person right now. They're gonna put somebody in your way that you just might want to talk to, but you probably shouldn't, because it's like maybe you don't want to talk to this person because you're in a bad space and you're not supposed to talk to this person. How about you just be by yourself? Be by yourself. Now, for real, like when I think about it, like I get caught up in the thing about human connections, where I realize a lot of the times God it's hard to accept just being by yourself. Being by yourself don't mean you alone. Yeah. Don't mean you lonely. You know what I mean? It's like, stop playing with these words. Like, too many words, you're confusing yourself. Yeah. Just be right now. Right. I'm saying you don't want to be with that person, like, but that doesn't mean go and be with this other person. Then if they're upset, oh, what's up? I wasn't even doing anything. It's besides the point. Now look, you got caught up in this little tit for tat about you didn't do anything. All right, yeah, but I didn't do anything, bro. I was just chilling with my friend. She's my female friend. Besides the point, bro. You see the enemy's cunning. Now y'all all talking about like ice cream, like different flavors and what melts it. Like, it's the point where you didn't even need it. Y'all all missed the whole point before you even bought into this whole shit. God was showing you that there was a water pump down the block that was mad fire. You didn't even need this ice cream. Yeah. But you bought into this whole system to play when this was all open. All of this was open for you just to see that you don't gotta go off all this corny shit.
Yeah, man.
Love. Listen,
so with that,
before we go though, I wanna play something and we could like drown out to that. Two things, because it's that two birds one stone. Please put up on the let them see your screen on the notes I had. I want you to pull up. There's a link that I have all the way at the bottom. So the first link, it'll just show you that picture, right? You scroll down, because that cover art is so fire to me, and I was one of the people to see this, and then we could play one of the songs on there and just let it ride out to that. So this is and the second link under it is a YouTube thing, where it'll have the same image. I just wanted the public to see that this is I don't know what you would call it. I guess it's a church. It's a church that they go online. They got their music. They threw out their first album. I'm not telling you anything. This is a great album. I'm not saying anything of that. Only thing I want to talk about was this fire case, ALBY.
You see that?
This cover, yeah. But if you scroll down, that's just like the bottom part. Yeah, I see, yeah.
Make sure we good here.
I'm checking on the live.
No, we should still be good straight as far as like I got it now. So now you said
scroll down on that thing. Yeah, look at that, man.
Yeah, that's fire.
Is that even real? Is what I had to like. What does it come?
Nah. It probably has that's probably graphic.
Yeah, imagine that.
That's cool. So they so you want to put us on a high note now. We're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we always like to put out music and put out music. I mean, this is a high note. The song is actually called Elevation. I thought we could put the song Elevation on.
Where?
Maybe on the YouTube.
On the YouTube, got you.
Yeah. The YouTube. Shout out to those old generations. The TikTok.
So what are they called? They called
Bad Transformation Worship. But but Elevation. Yeah. Boom, Elevation. Evidence. There it is, evidence. Bow. Yeah, got the case right there. 'Cause it was a man singing. I was tripping. Look at that right there. Ooh, bro, come on. Drippy. It's a fire case, bro. I was like, nah, it's nice. Let my soul sing. Yeah, I just been trying to center myself with more music, like let my heart cry, peace, man. Worthy. And then this song came to me. Let my mind know. First 2-3 minutes, like you are faithful. When it got to like 6 minutes, I was like, you can meet me at 7. And then it got to 7 minutes, and I was like, alright.
What's one way you want to script something different for you this week? You know, I mean, I was able to ask for help for me, and I think I'm gonna continue that, man. I do think that is one of my areas of growth. I think in expansion as far as like my manhood, and expanding the definition for myself. Reaching out and asking for support and help and things, and not believing I got it handled all on my own. You know. That's one of the ways I'm still gonna continue to script a new path for myself.
And to me, I've been maintaining faithfulness, but fearlessness in my faith. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing that I gotta be like. You know, it's like I want to dig deeper, bro. You know, it's like I commend you for asking for help, because for me, that's the dig deeper that I've been talking about. Like, when you deep in it and you want to just keep doing the digging, but it's okay to stop and ask somebody to help. That's
man.
Yeah, man.
And with that being said, I think we'll
Lots
wrap
of
there. 2 hours, which is great for me, man. I think it just felt natural. So
Amen.
I keep going, but I am tired.
No, love to
It's
that.
a long week ahead, man. We got some baby showers on the way. We got some celebrations on the way, so it should be another fun weekend. Memorial Day, man.
Closing up May.
Wow, already. So who knows? Hopefully, we have another live stream episode throughout the week. Something cool. So
yes, sir. Listen, episode 4 coming out June 3rd.
Okay, nice. Shout out to that. Shout out to Hegan working on that.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna get on the live stream later on this week as well. Do some production stuff. So. For the YouTube channel, so that should be cool. Be on the lookout for that, right? So, with love, man, I want to say peace. Al.
Hegan.
You already know, y'all.